Well, hello everybody, and welcome to this first midweek online contact that we at the officer team at Regent Hall want to have with you. We felt that this would be a good idea, given the current strangest and most unprecedented of circumstances. We want to keep in touch with you. So this is like a kind of pastoral conversation that will last around about, well, anywhere between 15 and 30 minutes, I imagine. So Carolyn and I are going to do something today and next week, and then Ali will do the following week, and between us we'll rotate that around. And it might even be that as time goes by, there might be a guest who will head it up for us one midweek. The idea is that it goes out on a Wednesday, and we can just hopefully have a good time and just converse and give really a little bit of hope in these really different, very different days. You know, sometimes we've met some of you around the corner at Pret. We've met you at Starbucks. We've met you at the Hall coffee shop or in the green room. Or sometimes we met you in the main hall and knelt with you at the mercy seat. Things like that. It's that kind of time that we just want to be together with you and to keep the connection. So this is like a midweek. Well, it's not a conversation because at the moment, anyway, at least it's one way. And we wondered what to call it. Do we call it Ask Ali? Or Contact Carolyn? Or Rabbit On? Or Ramble with Richard? Or something like that? We have no idea. But what we really know is that we want to touch base, that we want to connect. So we're calling it pretty much what it is, midweek online. And we hope that that sort of meets with your approval. We would love to hear any messages or any prayer requests or anything that comes in through the week. Please send them to us and we can talk about that here on a Wednesday evening. And don't forget, at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday evening, there's Fortress Radio that Ali and Andrew Stone also head up. And I'm not quite sure how you tune into that, but I'm sure Ali will let us know that. But it's all online. You can find it in a lot of places on the internet. So that would be a good thing to do. So, well, here we are. And on Monday, Boris Johnson gave his big ultimatum to all of us: stay at home. I've reiterated that in this week's newsletter, which you'll either have received or will be receiving shortly. The importance of not putting others at risk and not putting yourself at risk. It's such a key thing here. But nothing is ever hopeless. You know, when I looked at Boris, I was reminded of the film. Anybody see the film Deep Impact? That's the film where it's a disaster film, and there's a great big meteorite or asteroid coming towards the Earth, and Morgan Freeman sits in front of his desk, and he just gives an ultimatum to Earthlings. You know, we've got to make the most of these moments, and this, that, and the other. And I looked at Boris last night, and I thought, yeah, that's like Morgan Freeman, except we do have hope. That Deep Impact thing was a pretty decisive event, but this, we have hope. We know, we are assured that this coronavirus epidemic, this pandemic, is temporary. How long it's going to be before we start to get back to normal, we really don't know, but we know that it's temporary. But we do know that there are people who are suffering from it, and so they really require our thoughts and our prayers. I want to think about the vulnerable, many in our core at Regent Hall, we know, who are perhaps older than 70, and then there are those of you who are vulnerable health-wise. Well, we think of you and we pray for you. I was reading yesterday some monk who had been given a word from God in about the year 2000 that a spiritual awakening was on the way, and it was going to be on the way through clouds. It was going to happen through some kind of big world event. And he was writing that he had that confirmed in 2007 when he went to a monastery and he prayed with other monks, and they confirmed that his feeling that at some point within the next few years there was going to be a big spiritual awakening as the result of some major world event. And he's just written again in the past week about this very thing, and he's saying, I am wondering if this coronavirus pandemic is the spiritual awakening that is going to really shake the world. And I don't know about you, but we had a lovely response to our online service on Sunday. It had a few teething problems we thought it might do. And so we'll work on that and we'll get it better. We'll get our presentation better and we'll get everything working a lot better, and the contributions will come in, and we look forward to whatever you can give to that or even to this. Yeah, as we looked at the recording that we'd made and we saw the number of people that were looking, we think we're reaching a lot of people. And it's the same with a number of core and many churches around the country that have that facility. Of course, some don't, but many that have the facility to broadcast more online are reaching more and more people. So maybe there is going to be a spiritual awakening. I will reiterate, nothing is ever hopeless. You look at the pictures of Italy, where they're having a terrible time, a really tough time with all of this, of course, but you see people singing on the balconies. And then you look at Spain and you see that 8 o'clock at night, they're all coming onto their balconies or the front of their houses, and they're clapping all those who are health workers and all the key workers in their country. So that they'll be able to look back on that when all this is over and say, yeah, we did that. We did that. We cheered and we played music and we contacted and we cared for one another, and we got one another's groceries and provisions, and so on and so forth. What are we in the UK going to be able to look back on, I wonder? I'm hoping that there's going to be a legacy of kindness, if I'm honest. And not just the stockpiling of goods in the supermarket. And still the people are going into supermarkets. And I looked just this morning and I see that the Tube still has a lot of people on it. The Tube, the Underground, going in and out of London, still has a lot of people on it. Of course, most of them are key workers, but there are other people there. And they've really got to be sensible and do something about this. What are we going to look back on at the end of this? What kindness? What results? Did we reconcile with somebody? Did we help our neighbour? I knocked on the door of our neighbour. Well, I didn't knock on the door. We dropped a little note to them because they're elderly here in our block of flats. And we had a lovely letter back from them saying, thanks so much, we're fine at the moment. And if you need anything, Richard and Carolyn, they said, if you need anything, then we're on hand to help you too. So there's a lovely thing happening there. And if that's duplicated and replicated then around the country, I'm sure it is being, then that's a lovely thing. What are we going to be remembered for? Well, I just wanted to leave that with you. We're here in the study in our flat, and I imagine that this is where a lot of these conversations are going to come from. In a moment, I'm going to play a little tune on the piano, if you don't mind. I tried it earlier. It hasn't come out particularly well. I will play it live here. But if it's slightly, volume is slightly off, then I apologise for that. It's an electronic piano, so it's not the greatest piano. But I'm going to play a little piece on that, and then Carolyn's going to come and take my place here, and she's just going to bring a reading and a prayer. Next Sunday, this Sunday coming, Sunday the 29th, is our online worship again, and that's going to be led by Susan Stewart, our young people sergeant major, her wonderful workers, and those fabulous children. So tune in at 11 a.m. For that. We're trying to keep the themes going as we had them. We're trying to be as fluent and as fluid as possible in our journey to Easter. And so the following week, Ali is going to be leading on Palm Sunday, and then we'll come to Holy Week and we'll tell you a bit more about that when we get there. And then, God willing, we'll see you next Wednesday for another one of these midweek meetups, if it's helpful, if you like it. If you've got any suggestions, please do let us know. Thoughts and prayers and messages would be welcome. But now I'm going to switch with Carolyn. She's going to come and sit here. I'm going to take my Bible away. She's going to bring her Bible here. And I'm going to play the piano just for a moment.